national hospitality industry. Please welcome Susan Lacz. No. I know, I've got it written down.
Well, then say it. Laz, right?
Laz at Ridgewell Caters. We practiced this last night.
I know, we did practice this last night.
However you practice, then you always kind of mess it up. So
I think it was the wine.
Laz. I'm not a wine drinker. Look, I can't drink wine right now.
I think maybe it was my wine.
Oh, okay. Give her a big Oklahoma welcome.
Oklahoma welcome. Hello. How are you all? Well, good morning. How is everybody? So far, so good? All right. They've told me that I've only got 20, 40 minutes to speak, and I have a lot to say, and I speak fast. Okay, first of all, I got to fix my skirt. I can see myself here. Okay, then I'm going to start the PowerPoint, because this is the last time I'm going to be able to see me in the big screen. Very cool. Okay. This is my new outfit for you Oklahomans, right? I guess it should have been orange, though. I wasn't thinking. All right, here we go. Sorry. Should have been orange. Oops. See, I'm already going too fast. I got to get my arms around the presentation. I'm looking for a purple truck here. I'll just stop pushing the button. Anyway, my name is Susan Laz. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm so happy to be here. And thank you very much to Nola and Mike and all the wonderful students that I've met and the volunteers that are putting on this wonderful conference. I spoke at the University of Syracuse at the same type of a theme conference, and it was so much fun. And the women in the audience, and I can't see if there's men out there, but there were a few men in Syracuse. The women in the audience were so dynamic, and I'm hoping that my story sheds some light and gives you some guidance or not or whatever on what I've done. I started, that's me and my mother, and usually I do that because my mother's in the audience, but she's not here, and she loves to see her picture on the big screen. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But this is me, and my mother's saying to me, okay, Susie, I don't cook, I don't really throw birthday parties, I'm not going to have any big events in your life, just, she was working. She was a working mother. And this is her telling me that I needed to probably learn how to do those things at a very young age. I grew up in Jersey, and so sometimes the Jersey comes out. I don't know, shout out for Jersey. But I moved to Washington, D.C. to go to college when I was 17 years old, and I never went home. So really, I've spent all of my life in Washington. My mother was a school teacher, and she worked. And that was a good thing or a bad thing, because mothers really didn't work back then. And so I was tasked with, cleaning the dishes after breakfast, locking the door, and finding my way to school in first grade, which is insane, because if my first grader had to find his way to school, he couldn't do that. And so at a very young age, I had a lot of independence. And I think that's why it was so easy for me to leave home at 17 and stay in Washington, because I love Washington. My dad was a professional services. He was an architect engineer, worked really hard all his life, and fortunately they're both still alive, and they're living in Fort Lauderdale and enjoying the life. So it's basically, I worked in a deli during high school. I took the bus to the deli, and I was behind the counter selling pastrami and bologna sandwiches, and I'd work all day Saturdays and Sundays. So I have a very strong work ethic in me. And I think it's because of that is really giving me some background to give me the drive of where I was. So off to Marymount University. I was a college there, educated by nuns, and that's the school where it was a small junior college. Now it's a very large university. I'm on their board of directors, so it's all very exciting and coming full circle. And I just stayed down there. And when I went to Marymount, the first thing I did was get a job. I didn't need to get a job. My parents were paying for my education, but that's just what I do. I just had to work. So I was a bartender. I wasn't selling pastrami. I was selling Long Island iced teas and gin and tonic. So it was still, again, the selling mode. I actually ultimately graduated from college after the 5-year plan with a marketing degree. Nowadays, in my field, you can get a master's. You can go to school for sports event management, for everything you can get. But mine was all non-degree marketing, loved what I do. So that's a little bit of background of how I got to Washington. I am a single mother with 2 beautiful boys. My son is a freshman at Boston College, and my younger son is a first grader at Modern Day School. So yes, I have 11 years difference between the 2 of them. They keep me both very young. I wanted to make sure Nathan was potty trained before I had the second one, and he was, trust me. I'm divorced twice, so these little boys are both from different fathers, so I struggle with challenging calendars. Fortunately, Nathan is 19 now, so he doesn't need me to figure out where he needs to be for Thanksgiving and Easter and Christmas. And the little one, I'm struggling with his father, and his father lives in South Carolina. But this is my family. This is my life. This is my priority right there, these two boys, the love of my life. So let me talk to you a little bit about my journey at Ridgewell's. So I graduated from Marymount University, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had this marketing degree. I didn't want to stay in the bartending deal because I would stay there forever if I did, because I was making like so much money I would be shoving it under my mattress, because at that time I didn't know where to put money. I thought the mattress is where it goes. So I started in 1986 at Ridgewell's, and I interviewed with my partner, and he said I had no experience, even though I worked at a deli. Okay, what do you mean I have no experience? I worked in a deli, I worked as a bartender, but I had no catering experience. So I was persistent, and he hired me after 3 interviews and a year and a half later. I think actually I was a pain in the ass, and he just wanted to get rid of me, and so he hired me. So, but I think it was a good hire, don't you think? It was a good hire. My first year, I had a goal of $250,000. I sold that in my first 3 months. My second year, I had a goal of $1 million. I had a goal, and I exceeded that and sold $1 million my first full calendar year. So I was very passionate about what I did. I was the first one in the office. I was the last one to leave. They had to kick me out. I was just wanting to do as much as I could. I really wanted to do other things than just sell the weddings, because it wasn't really my thing. I wanted to think bigger there. So they tasked me with selling. They threw me at the Baltimore Convention Center for a 3,000-person party, and I embraced it. I loved it, and I couldn't wait to get more of it. So eventually, I took Ridgewell's on the road to major sporting events. Ridgewell's has their piece of the pie in Washington, and I took it to new levels, and we have been all over the country catering to the U.S. Open men's golf. So that was kind of my niche. Just to give you a little background, I was in here at Southern Hills a couple years ago doing the U.S. Open, so I have been to Oklahoma before, and it was a wonderful experience. A lot of rain, but a wonderful experience. So let me just briefly tell you a little bit about Ridgewell's. Ridgewell's is a company that started in 1928, and this was our logo back in 1928. So it's been a family-run business since then. It was Marguerite and Charles. They had a daughter, Fifi, which is up here. I don't have a picture of Marguerite and Charles, but that's Fifi up in the upper left-hand corner. They had 2 identical sons, Bruce and Jeff, and they are as tall as they are good-looking, and they still are to this day. And so eventually Bruce and Jeff took over the business. I had the pleasure of working with Bruce and Jeff for about 3 months. So Bruce and Jeff sells it to Carson Perry Scott out of Chicago, thinking that we can put Ridgewell's on every major street corner in every major city because we were so successful in Washington. We were the only game in town in Washington. Everybody loved Ridgewell's. When the Wall Street Journal wanted a quote, they talked to Jeff and Bruce. When People magazine wanted to talk about what Lady Bird Johnson was wearing, they would talk to Jeff and Bruce, or Slim Ellis, Jeff's parents. So it was really wonderful. So they sold it at its peak to this group who ended up having a falling out with Jeff and Bruce. They sold it to a group of private investors who who I bought it from in 1997. So the long story and the short, I had 3 months to work with them. Ironically enough, Jeff's granddaughter and my son were in the same class. Loved that, put Ridgewell's t-shirts on them, did the whole picture thing. So, and they're still very much a part. We love to see them whenever they're in town. They're all retired and doing their own different thing. They did come back for our 75th anniversary and celebration. We did a huge honor, and unfortunately, their mom was still alive, Fifi, and we honored her. So and the Ridgewell's name is very well known in Washington. And I know there are a few Washingtonians here that had already come up to me and welcomed me here to Oklahoma. But it's got a great name. So let's fast forward a little bit. In 1997, I bought it with my 2 partners, Jose and Tom. So I'm going to talk to you. Part of this story is important so I could tell you about the courage that it takes. So Jose is my mentor. He's the godfather of my younger son. He's been with Ridgewell's for 40 years. Tom on the right, I met in Atlanta, and I'm going to talk to you how I met Tom. So here I am on the road, traveling all over the country, doing these major sporting events. I'm loving it, but I'm thinking bigger. I'm thinking, what else can we do? We've done some Super Bowls. We've done Senior Opens, some PGAs. We've done the Preakness. so what's the next biggest thing that we could do? And I always had my sights on Atlanta. And so I came into the office on a Saturday and I said, Jose, let's go after the Olympics in Atlanta. Oh, Susan, no. You need to talk. And at this time, I haven't even begun to talk about Zippy. Zippy was my boss, and I'm going to call him Zippy because somebody in here might know Zippy. He was my boss at the time. So when Carson Perry sold it to a group of private investors, the private investors put Zippy in place. He did not like me. I don't know why, but he didn't like me, but I was running the most profitable arm of the company, so he couldn't really touch me. Any money that we were making was because of the events that I was doing. We were losing money. We were losing market share. Morale was at an all-time low. He was more worried about, saving money than really our image. He was this big guy who smoked and would show up, and, these socialites just didn't like that. He'd talk under his breath and spit on them when he was talking, and we didn't get along, but he couldn't touch me. Okay, so back to Atlanta. I go, Jose, let's go after the Olympics. Oh, no, Susan, you got to talk to Zippy, you got to talk to the board of directors, you got to talk to everybody. You can't do it, don't do it. I said, okay, so I closed the door, walked across the hall back to my office, and proceeded to put a proposal together. Spent all day, had it overnighted, and by Wednesday, Delaware North, which is out of Buffalo, New York, said, we want to come see you. Of course they want to come see us. We're like the only logical choice to be the high-end caterer in Atlanta. So that was the good news, but the bad news, I had to go tell Zippy that. He was not happy about that. But what was he going to do? Like if I go back to the board and go, well, Zippy wouldn't let me go on the Olympics because he didn't think of it. But so he had to take a deep breath. So by Wednesday, actually Tom worked for Delaware North, and that's where we first met. Fortunately, we were doing a little party at Congressional called the Senior Open, and we were able to drive right in the front gate. We plopped him in a golf cart, and we showed him firsthand what a tent village looks like when we're catering it. And we gave him a little lunch, we talked a little this, we patted him on the ass, sent him back to Buffalo, and it was all good. And a week later, they said, I think you're our partner. And so that was great. So now the negotiations start. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We get the contract. I get an apartment in Atlanta. My first husband wants to divorce me. I mean, it's like the whole 9 yards. So I'm commuting Monday mornings, and I come back Friday nights. And no, that's not why he wanted to divorce me. I walked out on him, by the way. So we're back and forth. And all of a sudden, Zippy wants to see what the hell I'm doing. Excuse me? I'm looking at Mike. Is it okay to say hell? I did anyway. Sorry. So all of a sudden, Zippy wants to come down to Atlanta to see what I'm doing. And it's like, if you've ever worked on an Olympics, it's like getting the best of everything and putting them in a room and say, okay, work together. Yeah, you just can't say work together and everybody plays nice. I'll never forget this one guy, Marty. Susan, there's no I in team. I'm like, oh, F. I said, I said, what? Okay, so Zippy shows up. Like, these meetings are complicated enough with, like, all these egos in the room, and Zippy's got to show up. And so he shows up, and it just was like ruffling everybody's feathers. Our partner, Delaware North, actually called and said, we don't want you here anymore. He thought it was my fault. He wanted to fire me. Again, he couldn't do that. So the long story short, he caused so many problems that we ended up suing each other and not catering the Olympics, which is something I really wanted to do. And then the bomb went off in Atlanta, and they thought it was me. I didn't do that bomb. I didn't. So anyway, we ended up suing each other. We didn't do it 30 days before the Olympics. So this was like, are you kidding me? So Tom, the gray-haired guy on the right, I said, I got to do something about this guy. He's gonna kill our company. So Tom's like, you know what? I'm not a family. I'm not the Delaware North family. Why don't we put a plan together and buy Ridgewell's? I'm like, I love that idea. Let's buy Ridgewell's. So we proceeded to work for 14 months to get financing. No traditional banks would give us financing. We went to venture capitalists, which I call loan sharks. We ended up going with somebody. I mean, that's really another whole story on how I bought it. But 14 months later, Tom moves to Washington, and we ended up finding financing, put a business plan together. Now, this stuff we're doing on weekends, at night. They know there's a buyer on the table, but they don't know it's me. because we're working through attorneys. So that was kind of cool. When the deal finally went through, I guess whose office I went into first? Zippy. So when he saw me walking in with Tom, he's like, oh. And he got fired. Oh, did I say he got fired? Oh, he got so fired. So, but, at the end of the day, the whole thing could have blown up in my face, but it didn't. And so that's great. Now we had a big job because we were this close to bankruptcy. We got it for a good price, but we had a lot of work to do to get it back to where it needed to be. So we proceeded to work. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to turn it around and make it work? Well, we increased sales. So off into the sunset the old truck went, and into the sunset the new truck came. I actually went to the kitchen manager, like in the thick of all this. I go, Lenny, I need you to give me a truck. And he looks at me and goes, what? I said, I need a truck for a month. He says, what? I said, trust me, I need the truck. So he's like, okay, well, if Zippy asks me where it is, I'll tell him I donated it to a church for a month because the refrigeration was down. And so the day we had our launch party, up comes this new shiny truck with our new logo. And just, we hadn't painted a truck in years. So Tom and I actually were the first owners, and then Jose, knowing that he was on the board of directors and couldn't be an owner at that point, we later brought him in about 6 months later. So we had this great launch party, lots of publicity. I had already been there since '86. Tom was new to the area. Everybody covered it. The press was great. Love all the PR. And then now what? The PR is done. We had this fabulous launch party. We were the first caterers in Washington to introduce a website. I mean, that's '97. That's like almost yesterday. This is how new all this internet stuff is. So we introduced our new logo. We introduced our new trucks, and there was a lot of energy. We had this huge party. And then we had a very big party for customers, and we did a fashion show. And we took fashion, because I think fashion and catering have a lot to do with each other. They're so close. So we dressed models up in our linen and put red hats on them and had this over-the-top party. Okay, and the guy with the tray. That wasn't my idea, I swear. The guy's wearing the tray. That was a new tray. I told him to make it smaller the next time. And then there's the basket, and she had bread earrings on. It was just like this very cool party everybody talked to. All right, so that's good. We did the party. But, now what do we do? It's all well and good, and now we've got work to do. People know that we're a player back in there. We have so much good competition. We've got to keep ourselves fresh. So who are we today? We have 3 divisions. Actually, we have more than 3 divisions, but we've got our corporate division, our major events division, and our social division. And it used to be that our social was the majority of it, but now it's pretty well even spread out. And sales, as I said, we were probably about a $12 million company in '97, and we've increased sales considerably. Now, I love the way this goes, and I wish I could stop it at '07, because after that it goes decline because of this economy and what's going on. But, we'll get through it. We have gotten through it before. So, at our peak, we were a $30 million company. Last year, we were 20. We made the right adjustments. And actually, I'm so excited. I landed yesterday, and my voicemail is full. I want to tell you that the White House called me, but the White House didn't call me. But there's a global nuclear summit coming to Washington, and they want us to cater it. And it's in 13 days. So I've been on the phone nonstop, and I sat and had dinner right here with some lovely speakers, and I had my phone on the table, and I usually don't like to do that, but that's so exciting. It's like 49 heads of state, and you'll all read about it here in Oklahoma, and we're going to be catering it. So we talked about the menu. So that's the kind of energy we need. And you know what? You know why we're going to be catering it? Not because we're the best caterer and our food is awesome, but I sat next to the general manager of the convention center at an event. I was out. I sat next to him. He liked me. I liked him. He called me. So that's very exciting. What do I do? I oversee sales, marketing, advertising, public relations for Ridgewell's. This is our executive chef. I work closely with the chef. We introduce new menus twice a year, just like they have Fall Fashion Week and Spring Week. We have the same thing. We have beautiful parties and tents. We create beautiful food. We have partnerships with great corporate partners. We really have saturated ourselves in the market. We're doing the new green initiative that everybody's talking about, organic, local, yummy, the whole 9 yards. We do beautiful weddings. This is actually a wedding. We just won an award for this. This was in an airplane hangar in like this private plane, and this is the guy who designs Under Armour. Like, how cool is that? My third wedding, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Outdoor weddings in tents, very pretty, all good stuff. So that's kind of the social part of it. And then this is the division that I headed up. And that, I mean, it's so exciting to put together a U.S. Open. When you serve anywhere from 23,000 people in Oakmont to 70,000 people at Bethpage Black in New York, I mean, it's $7 million in 1 week. I mean, it's just an amazing number, and the logistics. It's like, you know, most caterers don't even do that in a year, let alone 2 years. So that's the great division that I started, that I was happy to. And when we first went on the road, we brought our chicken and our shrimp and our people and our tables, and you know, you can get all that stuff in Chicago. So we decided to reinvent ourselves, and now we bring a management team in. We hire locally, we train locally. It's all very good. Dan Snyder bought the Redskins in '97, talking about opportunities. He wanted change, so we decided that we were his change people, his new caterer. So we got 3 vans and trucks, and we cleaned them all up, and we drove down to FedEx Field. Like, now you can probably do that with cut and paste or PowerPoint or whatever. But we had to physically put our trucks in front of there. But that's how it was. So anyway, we got the no, seriously, in '97, I don't think you could cut and paste like that. It was the cover of our proposal. Dan Snyder loved it. He loved us so much that 10 years later, we decided to walk away from the contract. Not really, but that the NFL came calling as a result of what we do, because they did a survey and said, okay, well, all these Visas and American Express and all these other AT&Ts, who do you like to cater? And they always said Ridgewell. So they brought us to San Diego, Jacksonville, and Tampa. So the Super Bowl, I must say, is like the longest day of my life, and it's the hardest job I've ever done in my life. So I like sitting on my couch, eating my wings and drinking my wine and not being there, although it is some good revenue. So Super Bowl came, whatnot. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about how our company has evolved. In 1998, we started a school division. We needed to increase sales, so we went to the private schools when it cost $26,000 to send your son to kindergarten, and said, okay, we'd like to do the food service. And now, with Michelle Obama here, she's talking about food service, you know, for the kids, the lunch program. I'm like, Michelle, I did this in '98. So we've been doing it. We've got healthy foods for these kids, and we're actually expanding that program. So this is a buffet that Ridgewell's does, and this is the buffet that Quick and Hot does. It's like fresh, and it's for the kids. You know, it's the same concept, and we get all of their spin-off business as well. So you've got a table setting in a regular Ridgewell's party, and then you have a table setting for these kids. So it's kind of the same idea. You put food out, they eat the food, you clean it up, and off you go. So that's the division that we started. And then what we ended up doing was merging Quick and Hot with our major events. I've got an executive director. It's called Well-Seasoned Events and Catering by Ridgewell's. We're hoping to expand into concessions as well. So that's just, again, evolving in the changing economy and what we can do to keep us along. So Well-Seasoned's got its own division, its own look, the whole 9 yards. And this was at our first event, and of course, when the photographer's there, I'm like, oh, hi, over here, come look at what we're doing. I'm always out there looking for my picture. Are you surprised at that? Hot on the Hill. So the union tried to organize us. We are not a union company, but when the union comes a knocking, you got to pay attention. And it was a really long, expensive fight. We have been doing a lot of catering at the House of Representatives, and they said they tried to organize our people. And we were successful in not allowing them to, but it was so close. In order to set up a firewall between us and the union, we started a new company called Hot on the Hill by Ridgewell's. And we partnered, strategically aligned ourselves up with a company called Guest Services, who had the master contract. And we were their high-end caterer because they couldn't do that. And that worked out great. So we were the exclusive caterer at the House of Representatives, and we spun off that company. That company's doing $11 million. I mean, it's slated to do, and that's on top of what else we do. So it's been growing like crazy. And again, Hot on the Hill is somewhat protected being on the hill, but they're still, running into some recession issues. People aren't spending the money they want. So this company's doing them. I have 175 employees at Ridgewell's. I have 60 employees there, and then there's all the other independent contractors who work for us. So Hot on the Hill was successful until guest services got kicked out from the house, and we're like, okay, that's our whole company. Where's that $11 million? What are we going to do now? So the new company came in, Restaurant Associates, who are national as well, and they said, no, we can do this on our own. I'm like, no, you really can't. Let us do it. And they're like, okay. So we had 10 days to turn around. They get awarded the contract. In 10 days, we have to operate. We have to get rid of every frickin' thing that says Hot on the Hill. We came up with a new name called Capital Host. So every uniform, every crate, every cup, every napkin, 10 days to turn this all around and be up and operational and winning with them. But, we still had some Hot on the Hill business, so we decided to get rid of that and come up with Hot Catering. So now Capital Host and Hot Catering are kind of the same company in their union, and it's nice because there isn't a really good union caterer in Washington, so we have a leg up on a lot of people there. So they do pretty events too, just like we do. They have great food, pretty events. They do everything that we do, and they do more. They've got the Pentagon Conference Center. They got the Naval Academy, NDU, and I don't know if you have travel on airports, but they don't serve food anymore. We're doing these kiosks. These are all subcontracts, and where you get the bag of grapes or the little salmon roll. I mean, we're doing food in National, BWI, and Dulles. So they've really built a nice little business there, keeping us moving along. So love the guy who heads it up, and he's independent. Okay, Purple Tie is our new staffing company because the government came after us and said, you can't have independent contractors, you've got to have employees. So we decided that we needed to get into the staffing business, and we did. Purple Tie, we're Purple Tie's biggest customer, but we also do work at the convention center. We do work at every place else, country clubs, places where they don't need caterers. And we train our staff, and because we're their employees, we're allowed to train them and give them uniforms. And so that's another division that we opened up. So this is the last division that I opened up. Anybody know what that is? It's a paella pan. Okay, we had this custom made. It's a 7-foot paella pan. But I belong to an organization called the Young Presidents Organization. And we were having a party at one of my members. And I said to them, he was making a paella. And he was in the restaurant business. I said, Rob, that's awesome. We need to partner up here. Let's get this paella on the road. He says, let's do it. Okay, so then we started to talk about negotiations. We got into a partnership with him. This paella is like you just want to eat it. So Jose Andres, does anybody know who Jose is? He's a rock star in Spain. He's very well known in Washington, and he is behind the bazaar at the SLS Hotel in LA, the only 5-star rating. Jose and I partner up, and we have a new company called Jose Andres Catering with Ridgewell's. So it doesn't compete with Ridgewell's because it's specific cuisine, it's a specific look. All my salespeople are like, oh my gosh, what's this all about? You're going to take our business away. But it's Jose's recipes, and we're the managing partners. So it's taking our expertise and his recipes, and it's really worked out to be a nice relationship. And he's like out there, and he does great food. This is liquid olives. I mean, you put it in your mouth, and it just explodes. He's brilliant. He's really brilliant. And so it works out. This is a gin and tonic, which I don't even like gin, but I had 7 of them one night. I think it was the fruit. I was thinking it was the fruit. So it's a great marriage for us. This is faux gras cotton candy. Okay, can you imagine cotton candy and faux gras together? It's good. So it's a very simple look because it's not about the tablecloths. It's not about the flowers. It's about the food. So we're not going to show up with 100 different tablecloths that you can select and whatnot. So it's worked out really good. We've gotten some great press out of it. Jose does molecular fusion, blah, 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 blah. I don't even know. So this is Jose and his partner, Rob, who's in YPO with me, and my 2 partners. And we launched this at the end of last year and officially this year. And it's really been a nice partnership to work with. So now, how have we gotten all this building and everything? So I oversee the sales and marketing and advertising. We roughly spend about 4% of our revenue on sales, marketing, and advertising. And this includes, tastings, sponsorships, photo shoots, gifts for clients. I mean, it includes a lot of different things, which is what I'm doing for all of our companies, Hot and Capital Host and Well Seasoned and Jose Andres. So it's important we kind of do it all at once, and we've got a nice team who puts that together. So it's important to have pretty pictures and a good ad campaign and have a little bit of attitude, which we always do. It's important to make sure you know who your market is. This is our corporate ad campaign. It's important to have that average. I mean, I love this one, which is one of the big cookie. The most memorable thing about a business lunch shouldn't be the big cookie. I mean, how many times do you get a big cookie when you go to a lunch? I mean, so we've got like a moose to remember. It's all fun stuff. So this is a series that we do from in the business journals. Our newest campaign is local, sustainable, organic, fresh, and yummy, going green with yummy cuisine. And you know, we started that a while ago, and now our competition is all over us doing the same thing. Blah 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 blah. Competitions. It's all right. Let them all say. You know, one of my competitions saying, "We come back and pick up your trash." I'm like, dude, how can you go back like and pick up trash for like a lunch for 20? Don't tell me you do that because you don't go back and pick up the trash. I know you better than that, Josh. Don't lie. Well, we give them the bags, Susan. I'm like, okay, good. Go pick up their bags. Social networking is new. You know, last night we had dinner at, what was it called, Red Prime. And I loved the analogy that it felt like we were in a toaster. That was great. You're giving me the 5-minute warning? I have so much more to talk about. Okay, 10. Okay, so what I did is I Facebooked. I went on Facebook and I said, just ate a chicken fat fried strawberry. And like within 5 minutes, 6 people had like did their whole thing. So we're all about the social network, which is new. We have a Facebook page, Ridgewell's. You can go right onto Facebook and friend us. You can see everything we're doing. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have you come in. LinkedIn I use more for business. I told them I was coming out here. My Facebook page is more about the fried chicken and strawberry. And then, like, I'm doing this thing called blogging. I really don't think I should be a blogger because I think I should be a tweeter or a twit, because tweeting you can do 100 characters or less. This takes time. I got to write it out. I got to type it. I got to send it. I got to get it edited. But it's been fun. So the Laz Word is my blog if you want to follow me on thelazword.com. So social networking is huge, and I know there's a session or a keynote about it as well. Publicity, I'm in charge of that. 60 Minutes called when we first bought the company. It was so exciting. Morley Safer was doing a story on entertaining on the Hill and the Sarbanes-Oxley, and since Ridgewell's has been on the Hill forever, who best to talk about it than us, so that was fun. I'm out 3 nights a week at a minimum. I'm at a black tie. I actually just was at a black tie on a Saturday night, and you know, those black ties get expensive, so my son sent me a website called Rent the Runway, and I rented a dress for Saturday night. It was beautiful, and the great thing is I rolled it up in a ball, put it in an envelope, and shoved it back. It was perfect. But, I mean, that's how, sitting next to Vince at that dinner, I'm now going to probably, that event, that dinner, that 2-day summit's going to be about $300,000 worth of business for me. So it's, you know, sitting in the right time. Ronnie Mervis is well known in D.C., and strategically aligning ourselves. The King of Diamonds and the Queen of Catering sit down for a round of Q&A. It's all important to be out there. Anytime there's something going on, I have great relationships with all the publishers and all the magazines. When this one opened up, I co-hosted a dinner out in the Plains, Virginia. All very exciting, everything you need to know there. Okay, I was on the cover of a magazine. That was when I was about 10 pounds lighter, but that was fun to do. Bethesda's where I live. Okay, I was on the cover of another magazine. Okay, that's it, though. I have no more covers. I do have one that I was in the middle of, but that's okay, too. So it's just important to get out there and always, you know, you have to create the buzz. I have to tell them, look, you should see what we're doing now. See what's going on. I belong to a ton of organizations, probably too many. I don't like to overcommit, but it's important to get back into the community and give back into the community. The Board of Trade is the business part of it. Eagle Bank is the only paying board I'm on, but I know nothing about banking, but I know about business, and so it was a good fit, and that's where we bank. Imagination Stage is an amazing place in Bethesda about kids and theater and disabilities. Girl Scouts I'm big in. That's how I met my friend Pat. Where's Pat? Is she here? Oh, there you go. Hi, Pat. I love her. YPO, Marymount, you know, it goes on and on and on, but it's all these things that bring us back to increasing my business and getting visibility. And I do want to mention the Girl Scouts at Camp CEO. Pat and I both, this is where Pat and I first met. And she actually tells the story better, but we're running out of time. I'd bring you up here, Pat. But this is where I go, and I haven't gone in the last couple of years because of conflicts with my kids' schedules. But I went and taught for 8 hours kind of a boot camp to kids on how to throw a dinner party. How do you how do you have dinner conversation? How do you plan a menu? How do you set a table? How do you prepare the food? How do you serve the food? I mean, it's the most fulfilling thing. And when I leave Camp CEO, I cry. I cried because it was so freaking hot in the camp. I couldn't wait to get out of there. No, I cry because I know I made an impact on these girls. I know it. I bring T-shirts for everybody. I mean, we're down to the wire. I bring T-shirts and party favors. We all have red lipstick on because we had no chance to go shower. So it was like really fulfilling. And I think, and that the end result after 8 hours is throwing a dinner party on the porch for everybody there and all the other CEOs. So it's just important. Miriam's Kitchen, another organization that I try to get my whole team around. We feed the homeless, of course. You know, Michelle Obama has to go there too. So she picked that one as one of her places to go. All right, I've gotten the 5-minute mark 10 minutes ago. Top 10 list. This is what it takes. This is what I go by to make it happen. Be fresh. Always reinvent yourself. Have the most important thing there. Whether you're selling shoes or purses or food or an idea, you got to be fresh and you got to be current. You got to maintain the quality because you're only as good as your last party. If the quality's not there, if that purse falls apart, it's not going to work. I'm looking at my friends back there who says, why isn't that? I probably beat it so much the battery's dead. Do you want to hit it for me? Number 8. Speak up, boys. Just you click it. It's really simple. It's 10 through 1. Backwards. There we go. Oh, shoot. Okay. Have courage. Have the courage. You know, when I bought the company, you have to have the courage. It was crazy. In 1997, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was going through a divorce. I had to refinance a house. Do you know how many forms there are to refinance a house that I've never done? And I was buying Ridgewells. So you got to have courage and keep plugging away. Create the buzz. Always creating the buzz around me. Did you see what we're doing lately? It's really important to do that. Surround yourself with smart people. Everybody around me is smarter than me. I have to because I'm not that smart. I got to have people who get it, who are on their feet and they're working and they know how to do it right. So surround yourself with smart people. Delegate. I can't tell you how much I delegated today because I was on that phone about that global nuclear summit and I had everybody, and when I get back and done this, it'll all be done. Hopefully, because I've surrounded myself with good people. Take risks. Yeah, could the Ridgewell sale not have gone through? Sure. Could I have gotten fired? Probably. You know, I can't sit there and pretend that it wasn't going to happen, but you got to take risks in life to make the next thing happen. Be passionate. Do you think I'm a little passionate about what I do? Yeah, it's passionate. Got to be passionate. And I was on the phone this morning, and my chef must have not had a cup of coffee, and he was just like, oh, I guess we could do that. And I'm like, oh my God, you should see this cherry blossom cake. And we just created it, and the cherry blossoms are going to be out. I mean, it's just, you have to be passionate about it. And the client got all excited about it. Give back, give often, give always. It's get back, ingrained in your community. Give back to the community that made you who you are. Get involved. Get back as much as you can. And I always teeter between that and have dinner with your kids every night, because I think that's important too. And most importantly is think big, because if you don't think big, you're going to be sitting here doing nothing. You got to think big. So anyway, thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I appreciate it. And I think I'm going to take a few questions if I have time left, right? Okay. 10? Okay. I can't see really. Okay, come on, ladies. Someone's got a question. Someone who hasn't been. I think it depends where you are stage-wise in your life, but I believe in on-the-job training. I would go and work for a caterer or an event planner or a party store, or I'd go and get as much event, get involved in we have ISIS. Do you have ISIS here? I don't know if you do, but it's the International Special Events Society. No chapter here? Oh, for crud. Oh, really? Well, Dallas is a big party town. Well, get involved, like so many people get involved in ISIS and the local catering association. I would just try to get involved in things. You know, maybe if you're on the Chamber of Commerce, you volunteer to have the next breakfast and organize it. So, yes, ma'am.
I create Facebook pages for my clients,
Yep.
but sometimes I find that I'm challenged in how to price my services. Can you put a value to how Facebook has affected your business?
No, because I don't think I'm there yet. You know, it's funny because when I started my Facebook page, I look at some of my other peers. Like one of my good friends owns a limo company, another friend owns a stationery shop, and another friend owns a high-end jewelry shop. So I looked once on the limo company. I go, Richard, you have like 1,300 freaking fans. Where'd you get these fans from? And it was something called Groupon. Do you know Groupon? That generated a lot of fans for him, but his business is obviously different from mine. But I went to Adler Jewelers. I said, okay, you invite all your friends to join my Facebook page. And so it's a lot of that right now, and I think we're going to get there. And I know everybody's going to join my Facebook page here, so, even though you don't order from us. So, yes, ma'am. Zippy. Zippy, yeah. Or Skippy. Yes. I love men. Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. What challenges? Because I am like a loose cannon. I didn't know if you knew that or not. But it is. But you have to know, like Thursday is the tasting, and it's the State Department in the White House, and I'm not dropping any f-bombs there. So I guess I need to understand who my audience is. And you're right. If some men don't like forceful women, and you just have to know what the right forum is. But that's a good question. Yes, ma'am.
You are an amazing networker and partnerships. I have some amazing people that I work with. And in forming partnerships, can you give us a couple of to-dos from I love this person, I love what they do, who they are, what do you do, what are some of the next steps to go to that?
I think whoever you form a partnership with, you've got to be passionate about it. Now, there's two types of partnerships. There's the business partnership that we're partnering up with Centerplate to do the White House Summit. There's the partnership with Imagination Stage, which is a theater in Bethesda for disabled kids and teaching them the arts and let them express themselves. So those are two different partnerships. Now, the nonprofit side, again, you've got to be passionate about it. You've got to have a disabled, you don't have to have a disabled kid, I shouldn't say that, but you got to be passionate about what it has. And on a selfish side, it's in our backyard, it's the audience that is our customer, so it's a win-win for both. So it's understanding and being passionate and really getting involved. I mean, when I first bought the company, we had a Board of Trade membership for $25,000. So here I am, I'm like, what do I do with that? So I chaired the golf committee, I joined the membership committee, I went to every event, you know, I just dove right into it because we had to do that. Okay, I can't hear you. Can you just give me that mic one more time?
I'm sorry. The partnership that created a whole new division.
Oh.
A whole new company.
Yeah.
Division
Like
of
Jose Andres Catering with
Yes,
Rituals?
ma'am.
I mean, our reputation speaks for itself. They wanted to get into catering. It was the right time, right place.
You just got an attorney and you
got an attorney. We drew up the document, and we wanted to keep it simple, and we're the managing partners. You know, whatever fits best for you. They didn't want to make the investment, especially, it was a very bold move in this economy to start a new company, but they didn't want to make that investment to do that. And what better way to do it than have an established caterer and just start this new division? So it's just
tremendous.
Right time,
Thank
right place.
you.
Yeah. Good. It's my girlfriend.
when you were saying that men doesn't like women that are, that word she used, because there's some words I don't use. I call you confident. You believe in yourself. And all you women in here, we're going to take this with us today. We're not afraid to face the men because they're scared because women had them. You're just what you call a confident woman. Not pushy, not overbearing, but very confident.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Gee, I enjoy you utterly. One of the questions that I've had since the first speaker is, who are some of the mentors that you've had? Who do you all look up to and study and look at? Because I'm in that space now, studying.
That's great. That's a great question. I'm going to go back to my first slide. And my grandmother was a big influence in me. She was around a lot, and my mother. But now my mentor is Jose. He keeps me in line. He tells me to settle down. My business partner. There's some great women networks in Washington, and I do a lot of that, and Pat can attest to that. It's a tight-knit women executive group in Washington, and I would encourage you all here to create that network, whether it's called Success in the City, which is, actually write that down, successinthecity.com. It's a wonderful, she has, what's her first name? What is her first name? It's slipping me right now. But she has created this professional women's network, and she started in Dallas, and she's in Washington now. But you all here, you women together, start that network and feed off of each other, and ask some of the entrepreneurs who are local to mentor you and bring you in. Yes, ma'am. That's a good question. Well, I work out 3 or 4 times a week. I exercise because I eat a lot and I drink a lot, and I drink a lot. So, it's all about balance, and I didn't even talk about balance here. But if you can't balance, I'd be crazy, a crazy person. But in my calendar, I have 3. I don't come in until 11 o'clock on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you got to put it in there. You got to have time for yourself. If I want to go get a manicure, I'll get it. I used to have a massage person come to my house once a week, but that got cut with the budget. So, it's really thinking. You got to make time for yourself. You can't work like a crazy person. If you work like a crazy person, nobody wins. Your kids don't win. Your spouse doesn't win. You don't win. Just balance it all out. Yes, ma'am.
What steps do you take to keep your businesses fresh? You said stay fresh?
Yeah. I think in the presentation, it's constantly introducing new menus, thinking of new ideas, new ways to present it, creating the buzz. So it's really, okay, we have an interview about weddings. Let's talk about what we're doing for weddings right now. We're suspending tables from ceilings and lucite plates. And, it depends on where our audience is, but we try to touch that each audience with what we have, and what's new and what's fresh. We're sending things to wedding magazines. We're sending things to the social pages. We're sending things all over. So it's just really reinventing and saying, okay, well, cherry blossoms are in. We just made this great cherry blossom cake. It doesn't have cherry blossoms in it, but it's decorated with it, but it looks fabulous. If you go on Facebook, you'll see it there. But, it's just always, it's constant. I travel a lot. I might just do chicken fat fried strawberries next week. I don't know. We'll see. Was it chicken fat fried? Chicken fried. Chicken fried strawberry. Did anybody have a chicken fried strawberry before? It was I'm not saying I liked it. I just loved the fact that it was fried in chicken fat. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my head is spinning listening to
too.
all of these things that you've accomplished in your career. But speak to us a little bit about how you've made family a priority while running your business.
It's tough. You just do it. You do it. I've divorced twice. Oh my God, what if I start to cry here? No, I have a great boyfriend though, so it's just important. It's about planning it. Like, I want to go to Aiden's soccer game. I'm out of the office because I'm at the soccer game. It's important to, I'm juggling 2 ex-husbands and spring break. I'm here because my younger son's at spring break in South Carolina. But you just do it. You got to organize it. And I host Christmas dinner. I host Thanksgiving dinner. So I've got family coming in for that. But I can do that because that's my life. And if I don't juggle, if I'm not juggling 15 balls, something's wrong. But I like my time on the beach with the book and a bottle. Okay, she's saying no more questions. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Oh, thank you, Jody. Thank you so much. Appreciate
All right,
that.
thank you,
Oh,
Susan.
thank you.
Laz.
Laz.
I got it.